Okay. In part one, I have discussed an introduction to NPD. In this section, I will discuss the sexual activity of a narcissistic personality disorder according to the lawyers. Yeah, NPD is a mental health condition characterized by grandiosity and a need admirations and lack of empathy. Individuals with NPD often display a sense of entitlement and superiority in relationships. These traits can significantly influence their interpersonal dynamic, including sexual behavior. And then sexual behavior in the context of NPD often reflects their border personality trait. Studies suggest that such individual might in sexual activity to validate their self-worth, gain admiration, or arouse dominance rather than of mutual intimacy of connections. Yeah. And exploitation sexual relationship. Individual with NPD may exploit sexual relationship to personal gain. These exploitations often involves manipulating partners to satisfy their needs, reinforcing their sense of control and superiority. Number four is hypersexuality and NPD have linked with NPD hypersexuality. Narcissistic individual may exhibit an interest in sex, often as a tool to bolster their ego or maintain of a sense power of their partners. Yeah. And observed that individuals with narcissistic traits are more likely to, in a casual sexual encounter, test interactions often like emotional depth, focusing, focusing and instead on personal gratification or validation. Sorry. Um, and highlight a strong correlations between NPD and identity. The lack of empathy had heightened sense of entitlement among narcissists often led them to escalate the emotional consequences of their action on their partners. And Baumeister in 2000 found that some individuals with narcissistic tendencies may exhibit sexual aggressive or corrective behavior. This stem for their desire for control and their inability to empathize with the victim perspective. Narcissistic individuals often view their partner as an object for fulfilling their desire. Noted that these objectifications reduce the potential of genius, emotional, or sexual intimacy. And a study by Brunel and Campbell, 2011, suggests that narcissistic individuals often harbor grandiose sexual fantasies. That fantasy reinforce their self-image as exceptional and desirable with their border personality traits. And vulnerability is often avoided in relationships by those with NPD. In sexual contexts, this avoidance might manifest as superficial engagement or a reluctance to form deep connection as a highlight. And gender differences in sexual behavior among narcissistic genders many influence from NVD manifest in sexual behavior. Studies indicate that narcissistic men are more likely to engage in promiscuity, while narcissistic women might focus using their sexuality to manipulate others. Being in sexual relationship, this narcissistic individual can have a negative consequence for partner, including emotional distress and lowered self-esteem. Research by Breltz and Jackstra in 2012 underscore the psychological toll such relation can take and explored by relation between NPD and online sexual behavior. They found narcissistic individuals are more likely to engage in sexting and other digital sexual activity using test platform to seek attention and validations. And addressing sexual behavior in individual with NPD requires in therapists like Cranberg emphasize in important for fostering empathy and addressing underlying insecurities that drive maladaptive sexual behavior. It's my conclusion the relationship between NPD sexual behavior is very self-complete and multifaceted, while narcissistic traits often lead to exploitative or self-centered sexual dynamic. Understanding test behavior through psychological frameworks can help in developing effective therapeutic strategies. This understanding also underscore the importance of performing emotional intimacy and empathy in relationship involving individual with NPD. Mm, yeah. Do you have a questions? Yeah.